What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Today I'm going to be covering the best legendary special / energy weapons that I think every Destiny 2 player needs for PvE. Now today's video is going to be a little different from my other videos because instead of covering specific weapons on their own, I will be going in categories and then the weapons in that category that I would recommend grabbing. And before we get started, I just want to thank you all for the tremendous support I've been getting, and I especially want to thank those of you who have subscribed because we are getting closer and closer to 3,000 subs, and I really think we can do it by the end of the year. So if this video does help you out by the end of it, consider subscribing. I post videos just like this one every week. I regularly interact with my viewers and I reply to most if not all my comments, and I also have a Discord if you are interested in joining. We have a pretty large community, surprisingly. I mentioned my Discord server in one of my other videos, and ever since then it's kind of blown up and it's pretty crazy to me. I really appreciate your guys' support on that. So if you need help getting any of these weapons or doing anything else in the game, I would recommend joining my Discord. You can find the link in the description of this video, the description of my channel, and the banner of my channel. Now this list is in no particular order, so don't worry about skipping to the end of this video to find the best weapon. All these weapons are pretty equal in my opinion, so make sure to watch the entire video to find out what weapons you need. Now starting off on the list, we have the Strand Rocket sidearm, the Call. This weapon has made many appearances on my other videos, and that is for a reason, because this weapon is one of the best PvE weapons of all time. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this is basically a fusion rifle without the charge time. It's quick, it's easy to use, and it does a lot of damage, and it is especially great for majors and champions. I take this weapon into in-game activities and especially Grandmaster Nightfalls. Now the Godroll that I would recommend, and again this is all personal preference except it's not, you should listen to me, is Quick Launch for the barrel, Tactical Mag for the magazine, Lead from Gold for the first perk, and Desperate Measures for the second. Now the masterwork I would recommend for the Call is going to be Velocity. Now if you do want this weapon, you can get it from Pale Heart engrams from the Pale Heart, which you will need the Final Shape DLC for. So if you do not have access to that, another great option is Indebted Kindness, which is the ARC version of the current available rocket sidearms. Now the Godroll that I would recommend for this one is Quick Launch for the barrel, High Velocity rounds for the magazine, Beacon rounds for the first perk, and Volt Shot for the second. Now the masterwork that I would recommend for Indebted Kindness is Velocity. Now if you do want this weapon, you can obtain it from the Warlord's Ruin dungeon located on the EDZ. Now you will need the Lightfall dungeon key to have access to this dungeon, so if you don't have that, another great option is the Aberant Action Solar rocket sidearm. Now the Godroll I would recommend for Aberant Action is Quick Launch for your barrel, Flared Magwell for your magazine, Heal Clip for your first perk, and Incandescent for the second. Now the masterwork that I would recommend for Aberant Action is Velocity. Now if this weapon interests you, you can obtain it through the Echoes engrams in the helm, but you will need episode echoes to unlock them. Now, if you don't have access to any of these weapons that I have mentioned, you have one final solution, and that is to wait till Act 2 of episode Revenant when we get Iron Banner, because that is when we will obtain Tinashe's Mastery, the Stasis rocket sidearm. Just wait until then, and you can play some Iron Banner, and at a certain point, I'm sure it'll be in the rank unlocks, and you should be able to get a free one. So, yep, just wait until then if you don't have access to any of these, unless you want to pull out the wallet. I also want to add that Tinashe's Mastery will probably be the best rocket sidearm out of all of the four because of the current Stasis meta. Even if you do have all of these weapons, I do recommend grabbing that just because of the meta. Alright, we're going to go ahead and dial it down a bit here because that was the only category with that many weapons, and yeah. Next up, we have Area Denial Grenade Launchers. This is a new type of frame here, which we have only previously seen anything similar to it when we obtained the Wither Horde exotic grenade launcher back in Season of Arrivals. Now first up on the list, we have the Lost Signal Stasis Grenade Launcher. Again, this is an area denial frame, and it is basically just a rapid fire grenade launcher that leaves pools of damage. Now the recommended Godroll for this weapon is Quick Launch for the barrel, High Velocity rounds for the magazine, Auto-loading holster for the first perk, and Vorpal weapon for the second perk. Now this is more of a Godroll that I would recommend using for DPS if you are going to be quick swapping. Now if that is not the case, then I would recommend swapping Vorpal weapon for One for All. But either way, the masterwork that I would recommend is Blast Radius. Now if you do want this weapon, again you can get it from episode Echoes engrams, which can be found at the reward table in the helm. If you don't have access to episode Echoes, then another great and honestly better option is the Void version of this weapon, the VSS Velocity Paton grenade launcher. The Godroll that I would recommend for this weapon is Quick Launch for the barrel, High Velocity rounds for the magazine, Unrelenting for perk 1, and Destabilizing rounds for perk 2. Now it's honestly up to you, but because I have destabilizing rounds on this, I am going to be using it for boss damage, which means I'm going to be using a handling masterwork on it. But if you aren't, I would recommend swapping destabilizing rounds for attrition, and then swapping your masterwork to velocity. If you want this weapon, you can get it from the new dungeon, Vesper's Host, which is located on Europa, and you will need the Final Shape dungeon key or the Final Shape annual pass. Either way, both are great options, so I would grab both of them if you are capable. The next category is going to be snipers. You probably don't see a lot of people using snipers for PvE, and that's honestly valid, but in my opinion, they're great for quick swapping when doing DPS. And first on the list, we have the Supremacy Sniper, which is a kinetic sniper rifle, and the Godroll that I would recommend is Arrowhead Break for the barrel, Appended Mag for the magazine, Rewind rounds for perk 1, and kinetic tremors for perk 2. And for the masterwork, handling is your best option. If you want this sniper, you can get it through the Last Wish raid located on the Dreaming City. Luckily for you, if you head over to Hawthorne, you can actually go down to the raid section down here and click the Last Wish raid and obtain that quest, so that way once you complete every encounter of the raid that week, you can get one free red border of your choosing. But be careful, because you can grab indefinitely of whatever weapon you want after completing all encounters. You cannot put deep sight harmonizers on them, so if you want red borders, you will have to wait each week if you want to do it that way, or you can just get it from the raid if you have good RNG. But also you can put deep sight harmonizers on any weapons you get from the raid itself. Another great option is the Succession sniper rifle, which is also a kinetic sniper rifle, and the Godroll that I would recommend for that is Fluted Barrel for the barrel, Extended Mag for the magazine, Lead from Gold or Reconstruction for perk 1, I would recommend Reconstruction, and Recombination for perk 2. And for the masterwork, I would recommend Handling. If you want this weapon, you can get it from the Deepstone Crypt raid located on Europa, but you will need the Beyond Light DLC for that. Now, if you don't have access to the Beyond Light campaign and you still want Succession, you can actually get a different version of this weapon through the original Onslaught located in the Vanguard tab. You can even focus into this weapon by going to Zavala and going down to Attunement, and then clicking the weapon that you want to focus into. Succession is the third one on the list. Next up, we have honorable mentions, but there's two weapons that count as the same type of weapon, so I decided just to make a category for it, and that is Waveframe grenade launchers. Now, you won't see many people using Waveframes because of the nerf that it got. However, I really think that these weapons are still usable, so if you can, I would grab at least one of these. And first up, we have the Forbearance grenade launcher, the reason that Waveframes were nerfed. Forbearance is an arc waveframe grenade launcher, and the Godroll that I would recommend is Quick Launch for the barrel, High Velocity rounds for the magazine, Ambitious Assassin for perk 1, and Chain Reaction for perk 2. For the masterwork, I would go on reload speed, but if you really think the Ambitious Assassin does it enough for you, then you can also go with handling. The original version of this weapon can be obtained through the Valve the Disciple raid, located on the Throne World. If you don't have access to this raid because you don't own the Witch Queen campaign, then you can also get this weapon through Onslaught, just like Succession, which you can attune through Zavala. Next up, we have the Tusk of the Boar waveframe grenade launcher, which is a strand waveframe. Now, honestly, this weapon does not get enough love, but I did see a comment about it, and it kind of made me happy because I do use this weapon a little bit, and it's pretty good as it is. So the Godroll that I would recommend for this is Quick Launch for the barrel, High Velocity rounds for the magazine, Envious Assassin for perk 1, and Hatchling or Chain Reaction for perk 2. For the masterwork, I would recommend Reload Speed or Velocity. It's kind of up to you. This weapon can be obtained through the Iron Banner. For our last two honorable mentions, first up we have the Cartesian Coordinate Solar Fusion Rifle. One of my favorite weapons of all time because of how much I've used it. I have almost 10,000 kills on it, and honestly, I haven't taken it out of my inventory since I got it. Now for the Godroll, I would recommend Clean Shot for the sight, Projectile Fuse for the battery, Lead from Gold for perk 1, and Vorpal Weapon for perk 2. And for the masterwork, I would recommend Charge Time, and honestly, all of that together just makes this weapon undefeated. And if you want this weapon, it is a world drop, but you can also get it from Banshee, so go check him every week and see if he has one. Next up, we have a blinding grenade launcher, the Empty Vessel. Now, we're not in a blinding grenade launcher meta right now, but it is still a good weapon to get for when it comes back out, because I promise you it will. And the Godroll I would recommend for this weapon is Hard Launch for the barrel, and Disorienting Grenades for the magazine, which makes it a blinding grenade launcher, Auto-Loading Holster for the first perk, and Vorpal Weapon for the second. And for the masterwork, I would recommend Handling. If you want this weapon, you can get it through Vanguard engrams, or you can just focus it at Zavala, which will cost 3 engrams. Now, that will be the end of this list. If this did help you in any way, shape, or form, please consider liking the video and subscribe if you are new. Again, I post videos just like this one every week, and I love your guys' feedback on the videos, so if you have any complaints or comments on this video, please leave it in the comments so that way I can get feedback on it and change anything that I need to change. Again, if you want to join my Discord, the link is in the description of this video or in the description of my channel, as well as in the banner of my channel. We have a growing community, and I want you all to be a part of it as soon as possible. Anyways, I will see you all on the next video. Peace.